Namaste, my name is Jyoti Thaya and welcome to Learning with Cherry. So guys, now that we've been talking about the process groups in the last few videos, I'm sure that the concept of what what does the entire process contains and how does the flow work, I hope that is clear for you right now. In fact, in the last session, I have also discussed about the entire mapping of those 49 processes, and it's a very important segment which you should review it before we start on the sessions for today onwards. All right, so we've done all the process groups, we've seen the mapping of all the sub processes, and now let's start the work from the knowledge area perspective. So we know the first knowledge area is integration. Now, integration as a whole is a very large concept. There are around 7 processes under that. So what we've done is so that the video is much more easier for you to understand and take a grasp of it. I have broken it into 2 segments, part 1 and part 2. In part 1, we are going to talk about the first 4 processes and the concept of integration. In the next video, we are going to talk about the remaining 3 processes and some summary at the end of it. Got that? All right, let's begin. So what are we going to cover today? We are going to see what is the process of developing the project charter. So we have seen that project charter is a part of initiating process group. So this is the first document that is created as a part of our entire project as a whole. Then we are going to see what is the process involved in development of the project management plan. So all the subsidiary management plans will come later on, but what is the entire role of integration is to get together, right? So we've discussed this multiple times in previous sessions, and today we are going to see that how we're going to create and develop our project management plan. Then we are also going to see that what is the process of managing the direct and managed project work. What does this process do as a whole? And it is an execution process, so the work is actually begun at this point of time, and everything whatever you have planned is an input in this. So we'll see this in detail. And the next one is how does managed project knowledge process supports. Now this is a new process which was added in the 6th edition of PMBOK, and we are going to see that how does this process help the project manager manage the entire project. These are the 4 key things that we are going to cover in today's session. So to begin with, what is project integration management and what does it cover? So it covers the processes and the activities that is needed to identify. You need to first find out, right? Define, document it, combine, integrate, basically getting everything together, unify and coordinate various processes and project management activities within the project management process group. So within the process group of project management, these are all the activities that needs to be performed at an integration level. So understand, this is the first knowledge area. This is chapter 4 for our PMBOK, from a PMBOK perspective. There are other knowledge areas that talks about specific sections, right? Cost will talk about cost, scope will talk about scope, but integration will talk about everything. It will get everything together and combine, right? So these actions are applied from the start of the project throughout till the completion of the project. This is the only knowledge area which is used all the time. You're all the time integrating. Yeah. Then what is the key concept of project integration? Project integration is specific to project managers. Now project work is distributed between, some work is done by sponsor, some work is done by the project management team, some work is done by your team members. But project integration is a specific profile which is done by the project managers. You may get a 1-mark question here that the project integration is happening. Is it done by the entire team, by the sponsor, by the project management team, or the project manager? Here your answer is the project manager. That has to be the right answer option for you. Yeah. All right. Whereas all the other knowledge areas, as we already said, that is done by the specialist. And hence we are saying that the specialists job of a project manager is to integrate. Always remember, integration and communication, two key things done by the project manager. The accountability of integration is with the project manager, who combines the results in all the other knowledge areas. So all the other multiple knowledge areas which are there, the combination of it lies with the project manager. Then it providing a project management plan to achieve the project objective. This is again the key thing of integration. As we said, the project management plan is prepared in the planning stage, and the integration is the knowledge area that gets all the subsidiary management plans, combines it and creates a project management plan. Ensuring the creation and the use of appropriate knowledge. Now this is more applicable from the managed project knowledge perspective. All the knowledge which you get for the project, it is important that the project manager uses it appropriately. Yeah. Measuring and monitoring the project's progress and taking appropriate actions to meet project objectives. What is the final destination that the project manager has to reach? It is achieving the project objectives. Now, what is the project objective? The product that needs to be created. So, the product, service, or the result that needs to be created. It is the job of the project manager of monitoring the project's progress time to time. It will not happen that the project manager will monitor as to how the project is working at the end of the project. No, they have to do it from time to time, and they also have to take appropriate actions. It is not just the matter of monitoring, it is also a matter of controlling. Yeah, we saw this during the monitoring and controlling process group when we were talking about. Completing all the work of the project and formally closing each phase, contract and project as a whole. This work is a part of the integration knowledge area. The completing of all the work, getting it formally approved, authorized, completing the phase, completing the contract and the project as a whole. That is the responsibility at the time of integration management. That is part of the first knowledge area. The managing phase transition when necessary. If the project gets completed from one phase to another, that is also the responsibility at the time of integration to manage the phase transition. So there are a few trending and emerging practices which are part of the integration knowledge area. Let's see all of them. So use of automated tools. You use automated tools to integrate all the knowledge areas together is one of the trending and emerging practices which have been used these days by most of the project managers. Use of visual management tools. Project knowledge management. Expanding the project manager's responsibility and hybrid methodologies. Now these are some of the trending and emerging practices which are being used by most of the project managers. They try to expand the project manager's responsibility. It's no more only understanding on the specific knowledge area that you are expert on. Now these days it is expected from the project manager to even know some part of cost, some part of risk. So that is the new and emerging practices which are a part of the project management methodology. And what are tailoring consideration? What do you need by tailoring? Tailoring is something which you need to apply on your project because each project is unique. Now the concept of one size fits all is no more applicable. Each and every project in today's scenario is different in a way. So there are certain things which are considered as a part of tailoring consideration. One, the project life cycle. Now earlier it used to happen that all the projects only used to fall into waterfall model type of scenarios. Currently in these times most of the projects fall into agile if it is not too long. Then development of the life cycle. Now we've also spoken about project life cycle and development life cycle in one of the quick tip video. You can go back and check on that. Then management approach. So the project manager is very keen these days to get management approach on their project. Knowledge management. The project manager ensures that all the knowledge which they get from other projects and the knowledge that they have for the current project is well managed. Change. Whenever the change comes up, it has to go through the change control board, but they know how to manage it quite well now. And the governance and lessons learned. These are two parts which are considered as a part of tailoring considerations. Consideration for agile and adaptive environment. Iterative and agile approaches promote the engagement of team members as local domain experts in integration management. The team members determine how plans and components should be integrated. They ensure that how will all the development of the plan is done and how is the plan integrated and the components of it are brought together and formed into one entire wholesome as a project. Now quickly let's go to the processes under the integration management section. So we have 7 processes here, starting from 1 in initiation, 1 in planning, 2 in executing, 2 in monitoring and controlling, and 1 in closing. So for today's session, as we already spoke, that we are going to talk about 4 topics here, which is for initiating, planning and executing. The monitoring and controlling and closing we will be doing in the next session. Do subscribe to my channel and click on the bell icon. If you click on the bell icon, you will get a notification whenever the second part is uploaded. So let's start with Develop Project Charter. Develop Project Charter is an initiating process. Now that is the first document which is created. Develop Project Charter is the process of developing a document that formally authorizes the existence of the project. So till the time the project charter is not created, the project cannot start. The project will only start when the project charter is created. The name of the project manager is mentioned in the project charter. Some high-level business requirements are clearly documented there, and some of the risks have been identified, the constraints are identified, and only then the planning of the project can begin. So, Develop Project Charter is the first process of developing a document that formally authorizes the existence of a project and provides the project manager with the authority. Now see, this is very important. Here is where the project manager gets an authority to apply organizational resources to project activity. Till the time the project charter is not created, the project manager doesn't have the project under him formally. Until the time that doesn't happen, the project manager cannot use any of the organizational resources. It can be people, it can be physical resources to any of the project activity. When you talk about any activity, it is even about planning. So the project manager cannot undertake any of the organizational resources till the time the project charter is not created, formally authorized by all the required stakeholders. Only after that the organizational resources can be applied to the project activities. Yeah, got that? All right. Now let's see what are the inputs and outputs and tools and techniques. So we've discussed about the concept of inputs and output and tool and technique in some of the previous videos as well. But let me still give you a brief about it. So what are inputs and what are outputs? Let's not complicate. It is nothing but documents. These are certain documents that are created either by the project manager or some of the documents that we get from an external resource. Now external resource can include your OPA, your EEFs, your business document, which is done as a part of the pre-work of the project. And tools and techniques is nothing but the way of doing it. Yeah. So let's see what are the inputs that you need for creating a project charter. So the first thing that you need for creating a project charter is the business document. Now business document is a part which is created as the part of pre-work which is done for a particular project. The approved business case is the business document mostly used to create the project charter. Now that is something which is used for creating the project charter. Then what else do you need? You also need a agreement. In case if there are going to be any third party involvement required, then there will be certain agreements in place as well. So the parties of an agreement are project stakeholders. The agreement can contain reference to additional stakeholders. Now all the third parties also which are involved in your project can also be a part of your stakeholders. Yeah. So what we know we need the business document and we need the agreements. We also need EEFs. There is a specific video that I have put it on EEFs and OPA. It is extremely important for you if you have still not got the concept of EEF and OPAs. So you can go back and review that video for your reference. So EEFs originate from the environment outside of the project, specifically where you do not, as a project manager, have control over any of the EEFs happening. And often outside of the enterprise. It can even be a possibility that it is outside of the project, and it is often outside of the enterprise also. These factors refers to conditions which are not under the control of the project team, right? That influence are known as constraints or direct the project. So you need to understand there will be certain EEFs that can have a direct impact on the project. For example, the cost of the raw material going high, right? The cost of dollar getting stronger. So these are direct impact on the project, but it is not under your control. If that has to happen, it will happen. So these are all part of the EEFs. Then we also need OPAs. What are OPAs? OPAs are internal to the enterprise. These may arise from the enterprise itself, a portfolio, a program, or another project, right? Or a combination of these. OPAs are the plans, processes, policies, procedures, and the knowledge base specific to and used to the performing organization. These assets influence the management of the project, right? So these are the inputs that we need for creating the project charter. So remember, what is an input? We already said these are just documents. Don't complicate by the jargons, but just understand inputs and outputs are just documents, right? So you have the business case, you have the OPAs, you have the agreements, you have the EEFs. These are the 4 documents that you need for creating a project charter. Oh, I forgot to ask you one thing. Who creates the project charter? It is the responsibility of the sponsor to create the project charter. However, the project sponsor may delegate the job to the project manager. Do not forget, you may often see a 1-mark question there around this. Now let's see what are the tools and techniques which are used for creating the project charter. Now what are tools and techniques? These are methodologies, ways of creating any particular document. Yeah. So let's start with the first tool and technique which is often used by creating the project charter. It is expert judgment. Now what do you mean by expert? What do you generally understand by when you talk about the word expert? So expert is the person who has all the right answers for all the right questions asked to him. So that is the key, right? So that is what is known as an expert judgment. Expert judgment is defined as the judgment provided based upon the expertise in an application area, knowledge area, discipline, industry as appropriate for the activity being performed. Next comes the data gathering technologies. Now there are various data gathering technologies which are a part of PMBOK, but a few of them which are used while creating the project charter are brainstorming sessions. So there will be sessions where experts are called and then they discuss on one of the topics, and it is brainstorm whether this project is needed or not needed. Second is focus group discussions. Focus group discussions are typically again with the SMEs for discussing on one particular topic. Then taking interviews. Now this can be a possibility that the sponsor or the project manager takes interviews with multiple people in an organization to understand whether the need of the project is there or no. Yeah. So that's about data gathering technologies. Then interpersonal and team skills. Now this is also a part of tool and technique as defined in PMBOK. So there are few of them which are applicable for developing a project charter are conflict management. What do you mean by conflict management and why is it so important here? So at the initial stages, there can be a possibility that there are a lot of conflicts between various stakeholders, that the project has to be done or no, the objective of the project is clear or no, what is the success criteria on which the project will be defined and discussed and finalized, what is the high level requirement. So all these are a part of the conflict. It can arise as a conflict. So this is the job of the project manager to get into conflict management and solve between the stakeholders and come up on a common ground, right? So conflict management can be used to help bring stakeholders into alignment on the objectives, success criteria, high level requirement, project description, summary milestones, and other elements of the charter. The next one is facilitation. Facilitation is the ability to guide a group event to a successful decision, solution, or a conclusion. Now, these are generally done where large people are not able to come to a common ground of consensus. Facilitation helps in understanding the majority part of it. What does the majority people feel about something? Then meeting management. What do you mean by meeting? Meeting is gathering together and discussing on something. But it's not only restricted to that, it also includes preparing of the agenda, ensuring that the minutes are circulated to everybody, ensuring that all the stakeholders are invited, and preparing and sending up the follow up meetings and actions. So that is the entire part of the meeting management. And meeting as a different stakeholder and meeting as a separate tool and technique as well. Meetings are held with key stakeholders to identify the project objectives, success criteria, key deliverables, high-level requirements, summary milestones, and other summary information. So these are the tools and techniques that are used for creating a project charter. Now let's see what the output is. So what did we already say? That output is nothing but a document. After getting some input documents, after using some tools and techniques, calling experts, doing some meetings, doing some data gathering, and some interpersonal skills, you will be able to create a document which is known as the project charter. Now, project charter is the first document that is created, and then it has a number of activities in that. Let's see what does a project charter talk about. The project charter is the document issued by the project initiator or sponsor. Please remember this. I have been repeating this multiple times. People often get this wrong. They often say that the document is issued by the project manager. It is not. It is actually issued by the initiator or the sponsor. He is the one that formally authorizes the existence of the project and provides the project manager with the authority to apply the organizational resources to project activities. Some of the elements that are part of the project charter are project purpose, why the project is being built, what is the measurable project objective and related success criteria. We've spoken about this also before in some of the videos, that success criteria is extremely important. It is important that the success criteria is discussed with the stakeholders, and finalized at the beginning itself, hence a part of the project charter. Then what are the high level requirements? What are the high level project descriptions? What is the boundary of the project? And the key deliverables. Overall project risk and summary milestones, etc. So there are etc. There are n number of things. You can review this in your PMBOK 6th edition as section 4.1.3. Then the other document which is also created at the very beginning of the project is assumption log. Now what does assumption log do? It provides high level strategic and operational assumptions. Very important. Now there's a very vast difference between assumptions and constraints. Assumptions are something that you think assumption is something that you think exists. Constraint is something exists but you need to manage it. right? So these contains the assumption and constraints are normally identified in the business case before the project is initiated. I told you that there is a business case that is prepared as a part of pre-work. The assumption and the constraints are a part of the assumption log. The assumption log is used to record all assumptions and constraints throughout the project lifecycle. It's not only at the beginning of it. See, like the project charter, it is created in the beginning, but it will not be modified again and again. But the assumption log is created in the beginning, but it will be modified and the data will be included into it throughout the project. Got that? So that's about development project charter. Now let's move on to the next process, that is develop project management plan. It is a part of planning process. Develop project management plan is the process of defining, preparing and coordinating. Please underline coordinating all plan components and consolidating them into an integrated project management plan. Now all the subsidiary management plan which are created in the integration knowledge area, it is all brought together and integrated together. These are all combined together. Now let's see for preparing the project management plan, what are the inputs that we need. The first input that we need is the project charter, obviously, because you've created the project charter to understand what are the high level information, what are the constraints, and whether those high level information has been elaborated in various other components or no. So all that has to be a part of all the other components that is created at the level of understanding or preparing the knowledge. So you need the project charter. The project team uses the project charter as a starting point for the initial project planning. The project charter should define the high level information about the project that will be elaborated in the various components of the project management plan. Yeah. Then we need a output from other processes. So as we told you, all the subsidiary management plans and baselines that are an output from other planning processes are input to this process. In addition, changes to these documents may necessitate update to the project management plan. Whenever you see that the work is begun after the execution gets begun, any update to the project management plan will always be mentioned as project management plan updates. Yeah. You also need the EEFs. You need to understand what is happening outside of your project and the enterprise. You need to see how these factors are going to, the constraints and the influences are going to impact your entire project, and you are at your planning stage. So you need to understand how the entire other factors or outside of the project and enterprise are going to impact you. Then you also need your OPAs. Why? Because OPA will provide you all the templates, all the processes, right? It can come from your portfolio, your program, or any other project. So everything that you need to understand from a process and policy perspective will be a part of the OPAs. All the templates and all these will be a part of the OPAs. So now that you're preparing the project management plan, you will need OPAs to understand the formats of it. Now let's see what are the tools and techniques. So two key inputs that you need to prepare your project management plan is A, the project charter, and all the other subsidiary management plans and the baselines which you have arised from the other knowledge areas. So now what are the tools and techniques for creating the project management plan? One, again, experts. We call experts everywhere. You will see this terminology of expert judgment in most of the planning processes. Now see, understand that these are all the tools and techniques that have been highlighted by PMBOK as a part of your framework. You may use one of them in your real life scenario, or you may use two of them. It may not be a scenario that you use all of them. But are the other ones not relevant for you? No, they are relevant for you at some other point of time. Maybe not for this project, right? But from your examination perspective, you have to remember all the tools and techniques. So we're talking about expert judgment. Of course, we know who are experts. Experts are people who have the specialized knowledge in that particular segment. So expert judgment is defined as the judgment based upon their expertise in a knowledge area, application area, discipline, industry, etc. Then comes data gathering. Data gathering, we did a lot of data gathering at the time of creating the project charter. Now we are going to do it even while we prepare our project management plan. Now some of the technologies that we use as a part of data gathering are brainstorming, checklist. So what's a checklist? It generally has all the criterias along with a checklist of done, checked or not checked. So while you're creating your project management plan, you would want to know that all the segments and all the parts of your knowledge area you've created or you've not created if you've missed on anything. So that's a checklist. Then again, focus group discussions and then interviews. Then comes interpersonal and team skills. We saw this during our project charter as well. So interpersonal and team skills that can be used for this process includes but are not limited to conflict management. Conflict management may be necessary to bring diverse stakeholders into alignment on all the aspects of the project management plan. This is definitely going to happen in your real life scenario. By the time when you are consolidating everything and creating your project management plan, at times the cost may go high, the scope may be, there can be a scope creep, the schedule can be going ahead. So there is going to be a lot of conflict. So conflict management as a interpersonal skill and team skill is going to help you as a project manager to align all the stakeholders. Then comes again facilitation. Facilitation ensures that there is effective participation, that participants achieve a mutual understanding, that all the contributors are considered, that everything that is mentioned as a part of your project management plan, it is a part of your approval as well. So remember, we are still under the planning phase. You still have a chance of changing something in case if there is any disconnect. Then meeting management. Meeting management is necessary to ensure that the numerous meetings that are necessary to develop uniform and agree on the project management plan are run well. Yeah, so that is what is the understanding of meeting management. The next tool and technique that we are going to use is meetings. Meetings is again, we saw this during at the time of developing the project charter. We are going to do it at the time of develop project management plan also. Meetings are used to discuss the project approach, determine how will you execute or accomplish the project objectives. Now this is going to discuss as to, so remember we were talking that everything under planning is the answer of how, right? So this is what is going to get discussed when you talk about meetings as well. Yeah, and establish the way the project will be monitored and controlled. So everything that you have to do with the project is mentioned now at the time of planning. What is the document that is prepared? The project management plan. The project management plan is the document that describes how the project will be executed, monitored and controlled and closed. Everything as to on how the project will be done, how you are going to monitor it, and after monitoring it, what are the actions that you're going to take, that is how are you going to control it, and ultimately how the project will be closed. All these are a part of the project management plan, right? So these are the components of the project management plan. All the subsidiary management plan, remember all the subsidiary management plan, the cost baseline, the schedule baseline and the scope baseline, all the baselines are a part of the project management plan. And some of the additional components like change management plan, configuration management plan, performance measurement baseline, project life cycle, development approach and management reviews. These are also a part of the project management plan. So there's a section in PMBOK that explains which all documents fall under project management and which all documents fall under project documents. So you can refer this for your, you can keep this for your reference. So if you see all the subsidiary management plans, all the scope baselines and all the other project life cycle documents and the development approach. And remaining to that, all the other documents are working documents. These will all fall under the project document. Alright, so now let's come to the third process. Now this is the first process under execution, and the third process for project integration management. Direct and manage project work. Direct and manage project work is the process of leading and performing the work defined in the project management plan and implementing approved changes to achieve the project's objective. Remember, now the work has begun. You are under your execution stage. All the work that needs to be done. Now understand the word direct and manage. Now the responsibility of the project manager is to direct the team as to how the work needs to be done and manage if the work is being done or no. Now what work needs to be done? That what is mentioned in the project management plan and the ones that gets approved as a part of the change approval later on when the project is executed and then it's monitored and then some change has come up. So that is a part of the approved changes to achieve the project's objective. Now let's see what are the inputs and outputs that we need for creating the direct and manage project work. For understanding that what is a part of the direct and manage project work. The first input that you will need is your Bible, your project management plan. Definitely, because the project management plan has all the components that are created and that is required for working. Now that the work is already begun, at this point of time you need to know how you have to work. How does the team has to work? Now understand the planning has been done by another team and the project team who's actually working on the project is a different team. There can be some overlap, but then there's a different team who's working on actually the execution of the project. So they need all the reference documents. So hence you need the project document as well. Project documents includes all the parts of change log, lessons learned, milestones, project communication, schedule, requirement traceability matrix, all the documents that are created as a part of the subsidiary managements and all the knowledge areas will be a part of the project management plan or the project document depending upon that list that I just showed you. The project team needs all these documents as a part of the input. Now you also need the approved change request. Now you will ask that the work has just begun. Where does the approved change request comes from? Now approved change request comes as a part of monitoring and controlling. Now monitoring and controlling is something that you do all the time. You will not do at the time of completion of the project, right? You will do at multiple intervals. It can be a possibility that the work has begun, but after 1 week when you start doing the monitoring and controlling, you realize that a change is required. You release the change immediately, go to the change control board, it is approved and it will come to direct and manage project work process. This process is something that is going to help you manage the entire changes and ensure that the work is being done, even for the changes that are approved. So approved change requests include those requests reviewed and approved for implementation by the project manager or by the change control board, right? Then you also need EEFs because while you are working also you need to understand that how are the factors impacting your project. Then you also need OPAs. So in EEFs and OPAs are an input in most of the processes. If you see that you will definitely and always want to review that what is happening outside of your enterprise and what is happening inside, and you also want to review all the processes, policies, procedures which are a part of the OPAs. Then let's come to tools and techniques. What are the tools and techniques that you need? You need expert judgment because you're directing and managing your project work. So you need expert judgments to come and tell you that in case if there is some training required, if the project team is working well or no, in case if the quality is met or no. So you may call the expert judgment to come and consider on some of the factors. So expert should be considered from individuals or groups with specialized knowledge or training. Then we need the Project Management Information System, PMIS. Now PMIS is a system which may provide, it's a software tool that helps in scheduling your project, work authorization systems, configuration management system, information collection and distribution system. This is just a software which is provided, which is available with the project manager to work on some of the outputs that they want to create and then circulate with the entire management on how the project work is progressing. Of course, meetings is another important part to discuss and address the topics of the project which needs direct attention of the project manager or the sponsor. So this is meeting is an important aspect here while the execution of the work has begun. Attendees may include the project manager, the team, some stakeholders may also come, they want to be involved in the project. So if it is a part of the communication management plan that these stakeholders are needs to be involved in the meeting, so you may want to call these stakeholders as well. So meetings is again a part of tools and techniques for directing and managing your project work. Now remember, this is an execution stage. The execution of the work has already begun. Now what is the output? Now we have some inputs. We have the project management plan, you have the project document, you have EEFs and OPAs, you have tools and techniques, you call some experts, right? You have some software to work on, you conduct some meetings, that understanding that your project is directing on the same way, that the project is moving towards the same direction as planned or no. Now you've done all these. Now what is the deliverable? What is the output? The output is your deliverables. A deliverable is any unique or verifiable product, result, or a capability to perform a service that is required to be produced to complete a process, phase, or a project. Now this is the actual endpoint of your project. Deliverable is something that what is mentioned is a part of the project charter. What is the objective of the project and why it was actually created. You remember we were talking about the unique product, service or result that is created as a part of project. This is what the deliverable is all about. So remember, deliverable is an output of direct and managed project work. A 1-mark question goes for you there, right? So a deliverable is a unique and verifiable product. What do you mean by verifiable? That somebody will be able to verify and confirm that yes, this is the right product, result, capability to perform a service or a service that is required and was mentioned as a part of the project charter, as a part of objectives of the project. Yeah. Deliverables are typically the outcome of the project and can include the component of the project management plan. Yeah. Then you have work performance data. Your work performance data is very important because you will often need this for doing your variance check, for understanding at the monitoring and controlling stage as to what is the variance on the project. So work performance data are raw observations and measurements identified during the activity. So at the time when the activity is being performed, work performance data is raw observation. So till this time, no analysis on the data has been done. This is a part of the work performance data. It is just raw observation, right? And these are done at the time of the activity, during the activity being performed to carry out the project work. Then comes the issue log. Throughout the life cycle of the project manager will normally face problems, gaps, inconsistencies and conflicts. All these will be a part of the issue log. Now it can be regarding anything. It can be regarding people, it can be regarding the work, it can be regarding a process. All the issues that the project manager has faced is going to create as a part of the issue log. And change request. Change request is an output of direct and managed project work. A change request is a formal proposal to modify any document, deliverable or baseline. Please underline all these factors. It is to modify any document, deliverable or baseline, after which a corrective action can be taken for a preventive action, for a defect repair or an update. All these 4 parts will be impacted because of a change request. You may feel there's a bug, there's a defect repair. You may feel there's an issue, there's a risk which is going to come up, you want to take a preventive action. There's a risk that has already happened, you want to take a corrective action. And in case if you feel that there's a new stakeholder which has come up, there's a communication management plan change, you may do an update. So these are all a part of the direct and manage project work. Then the next two document updates and the next two documents which are also a part of the output is project management plan updates, project document updates. Project management plan updates can happen that in case there is any change that is happening at an organization level or in your project. Any change to the project management plan goes through the organization's change control process via a change request. Please remember there are two different documents with you. There's a project management plan, there's a project document. Project management plan cannot be modified without the approval. And project document is the working documents, is living documents. These are documents that the project manager owns and works on. These will keep on updating and does not require any change request approval. But for a project management plan update, you will need a change request approval that needs to be passed through the change control board. Project documents that can be updated after direct and managed project work is your activity log, assumption log, all the lessons learned, requirement document, the risk register, the stakeholder register. Got that? So, and the organization process assets get updated. Now, in case if there is any change at the level of a process, may get updated into a part of OPA. This is also a job of a project manager to keep on updating the OPAs. So in case if there is any update here, these will all be a part of the OPA updates. Any organizational process can be updated as a result of this process. Then the next one as a part of the executing is manage project knowledge. Manage project knowledge is the process of using existing knowledge and creating new knowledge to achieve the project's objective and contribute to organization's learning. So there are two parts to this. If you break it into two parts, there are two sections to it. One is you're using existing knowledge. Now what do you mean by using existing knowledge? That you're using the lessons learned made by other project managers from any other project in which is a part of your OPA. And creating new knowledge. What do you mean by creating? That you as a project manager is creating a new knowledge which is going to go into OPA updates, and this is what is known as contributing the organization's learning, right? So there are two parts to it. So what do you need for creating a project management, for understanding project management knowledge? You need the project management plan. Any component of the project management plan can be an input to this process. And you may also need the project document. So these are two key documents that you have, project management plan and project document. You also need to know what are the deliverables. We saw deliverables in the previous section. One more question for you here. Deliverables is an output of direct and managed project work. Similarly, deliverables is an input here, managed project knowledge. Why? Because you would want to create some knowledge for the organization. So a deliverable is any unique and verifiable product, result, or a capability to perform a service that is required to be produced to complete a process, phase, or a project. And you may also need your EEFs. You may want to know what is happening outside of the enterprise. And you may also need your OPAs because you want to see what are the existing OPAs which are available. This is for the first section of managed project knowledge because you want to use the knowledge which is shared by any other project manager. Now what are the tools and techniques? You may call experts. Experts should be considered from individual or group with specific knowledge area or training. They may come and help you design the lessons learned for your project. And the knowledge management. Knowledge management tool and technique connect people so that they can work together to create new knowledge, share tactic knowledge, and integrate the knowledge of diverse team members. Knowledge management is typically used when you have a lot of information but you're not able to circulate it with most of the knowledge, with most of the stakeholders or most of the team. Now, knowledge management helps you do that. They help you connect with various people. And another important tool and technique here is information management. Information management tool and technique are used to create and connect people to inform. They are effective for sharing unique, unambiguous, and codified explicit knowledge. Interpersonal and team skills. Again, you will use the interpersonal skills for creating the project knowledge. So active listening, it helps reduce misunderstanding and improves communication and knowledge sharing and facilitating, effectively guiding a group to a successful decision, solution, or a conclusion. Some of the more interpersonal and team skills are leadership, is used to communicate the vision and inspire the project team to focus on the appropriate knowledge and knowledge objectives. Then comes networking. What is networking? We all do networking all the time. It allows informal connections and relations among the project stakeholders to establish and create the condition to share tactic and explicit knowledges. Then come political awareness, helps the project manager to plan communication based on the project environment as well as the organization's political environment. Now let's see what are the outputs. Very obvious, lessons learned register. Now we are saying, what are we saying here? We are managing a project knowledge, right? We are creating the entire database of project knowledge, whatever a project manager has learned over the period of time. Lessons learned register includes the impact, recommendation, and proposed actions associated with any situation. Lessons learned may also include or record challenges, problems, realized risk, and opportunities. At the end of the project or phase, the information is transferred to the OPAs and they are called as lessons learned repository. Yeah. Another important output is your project management plan updates. Any update to the project management plan goes through organization's change control board. Any component to the project management plan may be updated as a part of this process, and your OPAs get updated. All the project create new knowledge. Some of this knowledge is codified, embedded in deliverables, or embedded in improvement to the processes and procedure as a result of managed project knowledge process. Any organization assets can be updated as a result of this process. So that's about it. Let's have a summary, have a quick summary. So what does this knowledge area do? What does the integrated knowledge area do? It identify, define, combine, unify, and coordinate with various processes. What is a project charter? It is a document that authorizes the existence of the project. What do you mean by develop project management plan? It is the process of defining, preparing, and coordinating all plans. And what is direct and managed project work? It is the process of leading and performing the work. The actual work begins in the execution phase. And what is managed project knowledge? Process of using existing knowledge and creating new knowledge. So guys, that is it from my end for today's session. I hope you like the video. Click on the like, share button and comment if you have any queries, and I'll definitely come back to you. Don't forget to subscribe my channel and click on the bell icon to get the notification of the next video, which is going to be very critical, which is going to be part B of project integration management. If you need any understanding, or if in today's video if you feel that there is any part that you've not understood, please make sure to go and see those 5 videos that I've uploaded that explains the entire process group. Alright, so this is going to be easier for you. So you can go back on my channel and view. So till then, keep connecting, keep studying, and all the best.